We all have a dark side full of impulses we suppress and flaws we don't want to admit. But befriending our shadows may be the secret to enlightenment. Learn to transform inner demons into teachers and find liberation. The Stoics saw facing destructive urges not as something to avoid, but as the gateway to excellence. Confronting darkness gives profound insight into mastering our minds with integrity. I'll reveal how to embrace your dark side to strengthen character, achieve wholeness, and accelerate growth. First, we'll see how acknowledging vice prevents complacency about virtue. Next, learn how struggling with demons builds courage and strength. We'll discuss how befriending flaws creates self-compassion. I'll share how Stoics like Marcus Aurelius saw the dark side as a teacher. Discover practices to illuminate and integrate your shadows. By the end, you'll understand the key Stoic techniques for owning darkness as the path to your highest potential. Stay for this deep dive into the secrets of Stoic shadow work. Number 1. Reveals hidden strengths. We all have a dark side, those aspects of ourselves we try to suppress or deny. But what if our shadows hold hidden strengths? The Stoic philosophers believed we should embrace the full spectrum of our psyche to reach human excellence. As Seneca stated, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. When we shed light on our shadows, we uncover fortitude and resilience within ourselves. By leaning into destructive emotions like anger or jealousy, we build the mental muscle to regulate them. Confronting our pride humbles us, making space for wisdom. Owning our desires fosters self-control and mastery. Dark times can reveal our inner fire. When we are tested by failure, loss, or fear, our inner metal is forged. Adversity builds psychological stamina and character. Suffering asks us to grow stronger. The Stoics saw this darkness as the path to enlightenment. Suppressing the shadow only gives it more power over us, but embracing its energies creates agency. We integrate these disowned parts of ourselves and harness their motivation. Our dark side becomes an asset, not a threat to who we want to be. Seeking balance, the Stoics avoided repressing emotions or denying human nature. All desires and habits were faced in the light of honest self-reflection. Each shadowy tendency was seen as an opportunity for practice and improvement. While not giving in to destructive impulses, the Stoics acknowledged them as teachers on the road to virtue. Owning our whole self gives us the wisdom and strength to master our mind. As Epictetus said, difficulties are things that show what men are. The sages understood that walking into the dark is the path to becoming fully human. Only by embracing our shadows do we gain self-knowledge and resilience. Be sure to reflect on how this Stoic approach can help you harness the power of your dark side. Number 2. Leads to wholeness and self-acceptance. The Stoics believe that accepting the darker aspects of oneself is key to achieving wholeness and self-acceptance. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, we must accept the things that fate has sent you. This includes the parts of ourselves we wish to disown. We all have flaws, destructive habits, and troubling emotions within us. Suppressing them only fractures our psyche. But embracing these shadows integrates the disowned parts of ourselves. We become more whole, authentic, and grounded. Seeing our dark side with compassion fosters self-acceptance. We realize these tendencies do not define who we are at our core. Our self-judgment softens as we understand the universality of inner darkness. We connect more deeply with our shared humanity. Owning these shadows relieves us of the exhausting effort needed to repress them. We relax into who we are, shadows included. Trying to live up to an image of perfection keeps us disconnected from our true nature. Accepting our dark side allows our real self to emerge. The process reveals new depths of wisdom and strength within us. Integrating these forgotten aspects brings confidence and wholeness. Our vision expands as we realize the light contains a spectrum of colors, not just black and white. As Aurelius advised, accepting all life sends us unlocks profound growth. Our darkness, handled skillfully, becomes an invaluable teacher on the road to self-mastery. Owning our full humanity grounds us firmly on the path. Number 3. Humbles ego and develops virtue. Seeing our dark side clearly takes courage but dispels ignorance. Pride and self-deception are revealed as we rigorously inventory our character. Becoming aware of weaknesses, hypocrisy, and mixed motives lying in our shadow humbles us. Such ruthless self-confrontation provides opportunities to strengthen virtues. We notice our dishonesty and consciously cultivate integrity. Seeing selfish tendencies, we work to become more generous. Aware of judgments, we develop compassion. Each flaw noticed opens space for its positive counterpart to grow. By courageously facing our darkness, arrogance and complacency fall away. We gain a more accurate perspective on how far we have to go to reach human excellence. This motivates further self-development with sincerity. We no longer cling to false images of perfection. Our vision unclouded by ego, we walk the path with humility. Owning our shadows loosens the grip of egoistic tendencies. We become more forgiving and compassionate, remembering each of us carries inner demons, but we also feel accountable to manage our darkness, not inflict it on others. Integrity and conscience grow. Regular self-examination was emphasized by the Stoics. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Recall at every hour the facets of your life that give you shame and reconsider them." This prevents darkness from growing in secrecy. Facing our flaws honestly humbles us and kindles virtue. Our shadows thus provide enlightenment if confronted with courage. As Epictetus knew, detecting the smoke within is the essential first step toward clearing the air. Shedding light on our darkness, we walk the path forward with moral clarity. Number 4. Makes the light shine brighter. When we embrace our flaws, destructive habits, and negative emotions, we gain a stark contrast to our higher nature. The depths reveal the heights. Seeing our own darkness clearly inspires us to embody the light. Awareness of our pettiness and ego makes us strive for magnanimity and humility. Confronting anger inspires cultivation of patience, empathy, and love. The painful lows create longing for the inspiring highs. By acknowledging the darkness, we feel greater dedication to let our inner light guide us. The opposites become clearer. Blind spots revealed, we gain greater emotional discernment and wisdom. Walking through the shadow loosens denial and cowardice in the face of ourselves. We emerge better prepared to shine. This requires meeting our darkness with compassion. Harsh judgment keeps us stuck identifying with our flaws. But kindness towards our own limitations empowers change. We hold our humanness gently, without despair. Regular self-examination prevents our shadows from growing in secrecy. We remain aware of the darkness within, vigilant to choose light. Self-awareness deepens, giving us agency over our own psyche. The sages knew darkness has its place in spiritual growth. Muscles must strain to become strong. Difficulty shapes character. Without adversity, talents lie dormant. By embracing the contrasts between dark and light within us, our vision expands. Our inner beacon glows brighter, illuminating the way ahead. Number 5. Builds resilience and self-control. We all face destructive urges, addictions, fears, and troubling emotions. Simply suppressing them takes great effort but solves nothing long-term. However, wrestling mindfully with these demons develops inner strength and mastery. Like a blacksmith strengthening metal, we become more tempered through practicing control amidst darkness. Resisting anger's pull grows patience and emotional regulation. Battling selfish cravings nurtures discipline and restraint. Sitting with anxiety builds courage and level-headedness. Each small victory bolsters our fortitude. By engaging our demons directly, we also better understand how to subdue them. We study their patterns and triggers. We learn which inner resources provide leverage, be it logic, distraction, visualization, or delaying gratification. Fighting their grip builds psychological stamina and insight. This takes tremendous courage, humility, and perseverance, but it brings liberation from inner tyrants as we reclaim agency and self-command. Inner space opens up, no longer dominated by unconscious impulses and defensive walls. we feel grounded, integrated, and secure in our sense of self. The Stoics saw this constant inner wrestling as essential training for handling external difficulties. By developing self-control, we become less reactive to events and others' actions. We retain our inner peace and moral purpose. As Seneca knew, it is the quality of inner struggle that matters. Resisting darkness develops light, no matter how gradual. While the demons may remain, we grow stronger, able to bear life's pressures with wisdom and equanimity. Our inner fire is stoked as we wrestle skillfully with life's challenges. Number 6. Leads to self-knowledge and wisdom. By facing our destructive desires, fears, and flaws courageously, we shed light on our unconscious motivations and impulses. We understand the root causes driving our behavior. This self-insight humbles us while making us more effective agents over our own lives. Owning our shadows loosens denial and self-deception. We see ourselves clearly, distortions removed. Our ego-driven fantasies about ourselves dissolve. Such ruthless honesty aligns us with truth and reality. Studying our darkness reveals our triggers, vulnerabilities, and coping mechanisms. We gain wisdom into our inner workings. Self-mastery is only possible when self-knowledge is deep. As Epictetus stated, difficulties are things that show what men are. Understanding our dark side leads to self-forgiveness too. We understand the suffering that bred our destructive habits. Compassion arises for our human limitations. Vice loses power over us. By knowing ourselves fully, shadows included, we walk the path of growth with sober awareness. Our vision unobstructed by illusions, our inner light shines as authentic truth. Self-knowledge dispels darkness. Number 7. Prevents repression and distress. Ignoring our destructive desires, fears, and flaws breeds inner conflict and stagnation. But courageously shining light on these disowned parts promotes wholeness and mental health. Facing rather than denying our shadows integrates them into our psyche in a healthy way. Repression takes huge effort, but solves nothing long-term. Like a volatile substance contained under high pressure, what is suppressed will eventually erupt in destructive ways. Attempting to reject core aspects of ourselves is not sustainable or wise. Instead, the Stoics advocated owning all dimensions of our humanity with radical honesty. Destructive tendencies observed mindfully begin to lose their power over us. Simply bringing awareness to our shadows diffuses their control. Integrating our dark side relieves internal tensions caused by repression. We relax into who we truly are, reduced inner friction, empowering self-acceptance. Our mental energy is freed up for personal growth, no longer exhausted by denial or keeping up false appearances. By repeatedly exploring our depths through self-reflection, we come to know ourselves completely, shadows included. Our inner terrain mapped, we are able to navigate it skillfully and purposely. Staying mindful of our darkness, we walk steadily in the light. Self-awareness prevents tumbling back into shadows unconsciously. Owning our shadows makes them conscious rather than unconscious forces driving our behavior. Handled with wisdom, their energy can be harnessed for good. Our flaws become our teachers. Addiction leads to mastery. Pain fuels purpose. Darkness transforms through awareness. Periodic solitude and introspection was essential to this self-integration process for the Stoics. As Seneca wrote, we need to set aside time to examine our lives and see where we are headed. Frequently looking within is key to becoming whole, at peace with every dimension of ourselves. Our inner light glows stronger in the process. The Stoics saw self-knowing as the path to human excellence. Only by courageously exploring the full spectrum of who we are can we realize optimal well-being and wisdom. As Aurelius knew, befriending our shadows is the road to freedom. Number 8. Prevents complacency about virtue. Seeing the darkness within makes us reject moral laziness or self-satisfaction. We understand virtue takes constant vigilance, not just fleeting good intentions. We dare not become complacent. Our potential for vice, for greed, anger, envy, and more is frankly faced. We see how rapidly shadows emerge in certain situations. This humbles us and destroys naivety about the human condition. Yet the Stoics stayed hopeful. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have the power to strip away many superfluous troubles located wholly in your judgment." Our choices matter. Darkness can be overcome through wisdom and self-discipline, but the first step is acknowledging our inner demons exist. Complacency about developing virtue comes from repressing this truth. Seeing our flaws clearly, we feel accountable to make progress each day. Fighting the darkness becomes an ethical duty. Regular self-examination was emphasized to prevent backsliding. As Seneca stated, "The wise man looks closely into himself, turns his inspection upon himself." Conscious inner work must become a daily practice. The Stoics knew life is a constant battle between dark and light within us, but reminding ourselves of our shadows keeps us vigilant. We walk the path of wisdom with sobriety, moral clarity, and sincere effort. Our inner light grows. Number 9. Develops courage and strength of will. Facing destructive urges, unhelpful habits, and troubling shadows requires tremendous fortitude and self-discipline. These are muscles that must be regularly exercised through difficult internal struggle. Strengthening our will enhances agency over our own lives. It takes courage just to acknowledge cravings, bitterness, fear, or pride hiding in our unconscious. But dragging these demons into conscious awareness begins the inner battle. We slowly develop the ability to say no to parts of ourselves when wisdom dictates. Our resolve grows firmer. Conquering inner demons also prepares us to handle adversity in the outer world with resilience. By gaining self-command, we become less reactive to challenging external events and people. Inner freedom from destructive tendencies enables more skillful outer action. This fight demands perseverance. We must stay vigilant against the darkness within, lest it overpower us in moments of fatigue or weakness. But every small victory strengthens us for the next challenge. Progress builds incrementally through steadfast effort. The Stoics saw cultivating iron willpower as among the highest human callings. Unlike pursuing fleeting pleasure or material gains, overcoming our demons leaves an honorable legacy of mastery and liberation. Few things are more empowering than claiming total dominion over oneself. As Seneca knew, the hardest battles we face are in the invisible realm within. But by developing courage, humility, and fortitude through these inner struggles, the light within grows undimmed and unshakable. Our agency expands exponentially. Regular spiritual training through confronting our shadows was encouraged. The darkness is never fully vanquished, only managed wisely. But meeting each inner challenge increases our capacity to handle difficulty. Adversity ceases to disturb our equilibrium. Number 10. Leads to psychological wholeness and well-being. Integrating our destructive urges, fears, and flaws brings harmony to our inner world. We become more whole by owning all aspects of ourselves with radical self-acceptance. Inner conflicts ease. Embracing our shadows relieves the stress of repression. We relax into ourselves, conserving energy once exhausted by denial. Our inner light glows brighter, undimmed by shadows. Owning our darkness fosters self-compassion. We understand these tendencies are part of the human condition. Judgment toward ourselves lightens, freeing us from shame. We feel connected to the shared struggles of humankind. Making peace with our dark side also enables growth. We move forward with sober awareness of our flaws, yet gently encourage progress. Our demons become teachers, lighting the way to virtue. By cultivating self-knowledge of our full humanity, both dark and light, we develop wisdom. Our vision unobstructed by illusions, we see reality clearly. Such perception creates psychological strength and resilience. As Cicero knew, self-mastery comes through courageously confronting ourselves. By understanding the darkness within, we walk the path to enlightenment with virtue, fortitude, and grace. Our inner light shines bright. In closing, I hope this video has provided insight into the Stoic approach to embracing the entirety of ourselves, shadows included. When we have the courage to confront our darkness, we open the door to greater virtue, wisdom, and mental freedom. As Seneca reminds us, man is a noble animal, splendid in ashes and pomp and prodigality, but sick of passions and disquietudes and fevers of his own exciting. We have a choice, to either be ruled by those passions or to cultivate mastery over our minds. By illuminating your inner demons, you take the first steps on the road to self-knowledge and human excellence. Integrate your flaws with compassion. Wrestle your urges with fortitude. The obstacles along the path make the journey all the more honorable. If you found this video on Stoic shadow work helpful, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to support the channel and see more content like this. Leave a comment sharing your biggest takeaways or insights gained. Keep shining your inner light. Until next time, stay strong in your journey of self-mastery. The only way out is through.